All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today we're going to be looking at the spring preview for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Scott Frost enters his fifth season in Lincoln. It's not been great. 15-29 record, 10-25. There was some encouraging signs last year, though, considering Nebraska played every single game close, really. They lost 9 games, but all 9 came by 9 points or less. Every single week, they seemed to be playing in one-possession ball games. They just could not close any of them out. It didn't matter who they played, Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma. The Spartans even went to overtime. They took them on the road to overtime, that is. So they played a lot of close games, could not close the deal in any of them. But that's not a great look. You know, this is arguably Scott Frost's best team, I'd say, during his tenure. And this is all they manufactured was 3 wins. Lose a lot of players on both sides of the ball. So it's going to be a bumpy tenure. It's make or break season for the former alumni. Being a former alumni, though, I think gives you a bit of a longer leash. That leash is starting to come to an end, though. I think this is going to be a big year for Scott Frost. We'll see what he can do. Looking at quarterback, though, Adrian Martinez, he transfers out to Kansas State. He was not really great, I thought, during his tenure. I thought his past season was his best, though. But he didn't really progress like we thought he would. Coming into a sophomore season, he was one of the Heisman favorites, actually. He was top 3 or top 5 in the Heisman odds in the preseason. Did not live up to that one bit. I believe he only had 10 passing touchdowns that year. So Adrian Martinez, a dual-threat guy, he did a lot for them with his legs, made plays through the air. I thought this past season was his best, but he transfers out. And then you insert Casey Thompson, another guy who kind of got forced out. Hudson Card at Texas won the job for week 1, looked really good in their win against Louisiana Lafayette. And then week 2, the next week he gets benched. Thompson comes in. In the first half of the year, they kind of battled back and forth. He had a great Red River rivalry. And then towards the back end of the season, he ran away with a starting job. I thought he was really good. 2,100 yards, 24 touchdowns, 9 picks. Ran for 4 touchdowns. Things that stand out about Thompson, though, quick reads. He can get the ball out in a hurry. He does it with precision as well. He got nice ball placement, anticipates very well, throws with confidence. He does not have great arm strength, but he kind of checks the boxes in all the other areas. That's what I like about him. Mark Whipple, you've just seen what he did with Kenny Pickett. He comes over. He's a guy I think that's going to learn a lot from Whipple, that being Thompson. Whipple's also going to get his legs involved. He did that a lot at Pitt with Kenny Pickett. He's got a quarterback who's plenty capable of being a dual-threat player here in Casey Thompson. I think this is a very good addition for this offense. Scott Frost, being a decorated offensive coach, hasn't been a great ride here in Lincoln on the offense, but that's still his background. That's still his nature. He still had plenty of success all over. And maybe just him and Adrian Martinez were not a good pairing. Maybe Casey Thompson's the guy he's been looking for that can kind of fit the bill here and kind of take this offense to the next level. Looking at running back, I think they have a nice little 4-headed monster here. No real game changers, though, at first glance. 180 yards per game last year for this running game. They do lose Martinez, who was their leading rusher last year. Anthony Grant, though, he comes over from JUCO. He was at FSU previously before that. 1,700 yards last year at the JUCO level. An explosive, contact-friendly running back like what Grant can provide for them, mixed with Ramir Johnson. He's probably the shiftiest running back out of all the 4 they have here. 495 yards a season ago, 4.4 yards per carry. I think Grant and Johnson can really establish a nice little duo running back game right here. Jarquez Yant, he's pretty elusive for 245 pounds. He can run in between the tackles perfectly. He can also get to the edge a good bit. I like what Yant does. They also have a similar running back in Marquise Stepp. You remember he came over from USC. Those guys are both big-bodied interior runners, goal line, short yardage type of guys. Irvin as well. You look at what he can do. Gabe Irvin, that is. He didn't do a lot as a runner in the first 4 games, but he's probably the best running back in terms of a pass protector. That's what got him on the field. It's a deep backfield, I think, for Nebraska, but again, there's no real game changers. They have a lot of different guys who can provide an asset, so we'll see what happens with this backfield. Like what they have. They have great depth. They have some nice versatility as well. So I'm very excited to see what this backfield can do. I don't expect them to really improve too much on the 180 yards per game a season ago. I don't expect it to drop much either. So it'll be right around that number in my expectations. We'll see what happens, especially running behind this offensive line. I thought they were middle of the pack in run blocking, but it's kind of a fact that they're one of the worst in pass protection. They do lose 2 starters, center Cam Jurgens being the biggest one. Kevin Williams, he's a versatile guy. Currently slated to probably start at right guard. He's 6'5", 330. Might see him at tackle. A lot of retooling to do up front for this unit, though. We'll see what happens again throughout this entire offensive line. That's why, spring for this team is a really big deal. Bryce Benhart, another one of those guys, 6'9", 330, redshirt freshman. He might find some time in the lineup. Teddy Brock, Cornhuskers at 6'9", 305. They got some pretty tall guys right here. Size, I don't think, is really a big issue for Nebraska, just getting better quality play in all facets of the offensive line. That's just going to be the biggest concern. You got Hunter Anthony as well, another transfer, maybe going to start at right tackle. I'm really not sure what combination they're going to roll out with. I think Ethan Piper will probably get that center nod. All around, though, this offensive line was not very great last year, very inconsistent. It made things hard for Adrian Martinez, another guy, though, in Piper, 6'3", 305. They got potential, they got size. I think they got a pretty solid ceiling, but they just need better individual play, and Scott Frost is looking to hopefully get that out of his big guys up front. I think they got the running backs to get the job done on the ground. I think they got a quarterback as well that can make plays through the air. This offensive line, though, is really going to dictate a lot. And then it moves us to the pass catchers, though. They lose two of their top pass catchers from a season ago, Samori Toure and Austin Allen. Those guys are gone. I think they got a pretty good group of pass catchers here as well, kind of like running back Omar Manning, 6'4", 225. He might find some time at the slot. Mark Whipple was talking about, getting Thompson, a big-bodied guy, across the middle. And Omar Manning fits the bill completely. I think Xavier Betts as well. He was the second-best recruit they landed in last year's class. He's going to see an improved role, I think, coming into this year. Trey Palmer, he's got plenty of speed coming over from LSU. And then you got Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. He comes over from New Mexico State, 500-plus yards a season ago, 15 yards per catch as well with the Aggies. Alante Brown, he was a top-ranked prep school recruit. The coaches love him. He's a player that plays with a lot of energy. They seem to think he has a lot of skill as well. So I think they got a nice group of pass catchers as well. Oliver Martin as well, another veteran that might see some time. Kind of like running back. I like what they have at receiver. They have depth. They have talent. This offense has a high ceiling, but their offensive line, again, they have to be more consistent. I think the running backs have to play very well individually also, and they can't lean so much on the quarterback to carry him on the running game and through the air. So this offense, I'm not really sure what to expect from them. Travis Volkoglick at tight end. This is his fifth season now. He's got plenty of experience. So this is kind of a veteran bunch, I feel like. Again, I keep harping on how much talent they have. I think they got more than people are giving them credit for. We'll see what happens. Scott Frost looking to get this offense on track after averaging 27.9 points per game a season ago. So this offense has high potential. We'll see what happens. Spring should be interesting to see what roles go to which players, though, especially up front. Looking at the Nebraska defense, 22.7 yards per game allowed a season ago. That's not an awful mark, but the pass rush, it was pretty awful. 12 from the Big Ten in sacks. They need to get more from their pass rush, though. That's a plain, simple fact. I think they got some nice players, though. Garrett Nelson, the defensive end. He had 5 sacks a season ago. He's 6'3", 245, 11 tackles for loss. He's a guy who can make plays off the edge. Caleb Tanner as well, another senior. Defensive end, I think they're pretty solid. They got the potential to have a pretty nice pass rush duo this upcoming season. But an even bigger area of concern, though, is this interior defensive line. Ben Stilley is gone. He's going to get replaced by Ty Robinson, who's he's been around for a few years now. He can play in or out, has shown abilities in both areas of, a run stopper and a pass rusher. So Ty Robinson's a guy I'm interested to see. Casey Rogers, he's currently slated for the other defensive tackle position, and at least in my estimation, missed the first 5 games last year. I think Jordan Riley, he also might get a shot here. Nash Hutchmacher, 325 pounds. He's got a lot of strength. I think he'll find some time in the rotation as well. Slowing down the run, garnering consistent penetration was a tough ask for this Nebraska defensive line a season ago. Combined with that pass rush they couldn't seem to find, this defense was much better than you would think at first glance, considering the weaknesses they had. But it was mainly a nice linebacking core that Nebraska really leaned on these linebackers to clean up the dirty work the defensive line did. Even when they weren't doing good work, though, these guys were still kind of asked to carry. Luke Reamer, 109 tackles a season ago. That was a team high. Really good in coverage. I like what he does from a playmaking standpoint. Nick Henrik, he's not far behind as well. His redshirt freshman season last year, he had 99 tackles. I think that Chris Kolarvek, this is another guy who's a veteran. He provided some nice rotational help. He was a very reliable second option at linebacker. A very good tackler as well. The linebackers, though, they were not great one bit against the run. That mixed with the penetration the defensive line struggled with. Inconsistent unit, I thought, for Nebraska in the front seven. These guys, they still played hard, though. The entire defense did, especially the secondary, who now is kind of going to get retooled. They have a lot of potential, though. I'm very excited for some positional groups on offense. The secondary is probably the one I'm most excited for on the defense. Travis Fisher, the defensive back coach, he sounds very confident in this unit. He likes the energy and the competitive nature. They lose 3 starters, though. Cam Taylor-Britt, JoJo Domain, Deontay Williams. It sucks that Williams was not more healthy throughout his entire career. I thought he would have been a very good player. He showed it last year when he played only 8 games, though. I think back in his freshman year was the only time he had played 12 full games, but he was not playing much, so it was easier to stay healthy. But, yeah, Williams could never stay healthy during his career. Kind of was unfortunate. I thought he could have been a really good player. Well, he is now off and gone. The secondary, though, I thought they were very good. They were 54th in yards per game allowed. They kept everything in front of them. They were 6th in 20-plus passing plays allowed last year at only 29. That's a very impressive number. They only allowed, of course, they allowed 400-plus to Ohio State, but they played very good in that game at 2 picks. C.J. Stroud was flustered. It seemed all afternoon long. Big plays were hard to generate. Of course, they ended up getting a few of them, but all around, 7.5 yards per attempt. That was only the second time all year they were held to under 8 yards per attempt through the air in a game. The other one was Tulsa, where Ohio State ran for, 300-400 yards. So they're really the only team all year long that kind of had Ohio State's number through the air. They got to replace these guys, though. You look at Deshaun Singleton. He's a transfer. He's a JUCO guy. He comes over with some nice range. 6'3", 205. He's a guy they're really excited about. He's got some experience under him. Tommy Hill. He comes over from Arizona State. This is a guy a lot of people are going to be have in the program and raving about. And then, I'm on that train as well. A former wide receiver. He has ball skills. He has good speed, some nice length. This is a high upside player. And Fisher's going to look to get everything they can out of him. He's currently probably slated for a starting role at corner, maybe a backup role early in his career since he just transferred over. Omar Brown is another transfer. They end up getting 4 guys in the portal in this secondary. Singleton, Hill, aforementioned Brown, Javier Morton as well, but back to Brown from Northern Iowa. He's a guy that they like. Another one of those guys that really seems to fit the mold here. High energy guy. He competes. I think the guy a lot of people are going to be looking up to, though, Quentin Newsome. He's probably the most veteran guy in this secondary. 57 tackles last year. Made some plays on the ball. He was not bad one bit. He was a pretty good player, I thought. You look at nickelback. Who's going to replace JoJo Domain? Looks like Isaac Gifford is going to do that role so far. Marquise Buford. He's probably going to anchor down one of the cornerback roles opposite side of Newsome, 5'9", 190. Very physical for being, pretty undersized. The top recruit they pulled in as well, Jaden Gold. He's another one of those physical players. So they got some really impressive ball players. The secondary, I think, maybe not so much this upcoming season, but I think in 2023 maybe this could probably be one of the better secondaries in all of college football because they got a lot of players to work with. If they can establish a nice core here and they can get things straightened out pretty quickly, I think this is a secondary that can really develop very nicely, and I think it's going to, again, probably be the backbone of this defense as the front seven's kind of questionable. Even though they got those 2 veteran linebackers coming back, the defensive line has some questions, but they got players very capable. So I think this defense all around, they're going to have to lean on them, but I think the offense is going to have to do more this season than they did last year for them to actually win games. I think the defense will certainly take a small step back. Looking at the Cornhuskers schedule, though, they don't play their first true road game until October 7th. They kick off the season August 27th with Northwestern in Dublin, Ireland. Yeah, that's technically a road game, but not a true road game. They got North Dakota afterwards. Georgia Southern and Clay Helton, they host them in Week 3. Oklahoma, the Sooners, Brent Venables, that's September 17th. This should be at least a 3-win month, you would think, for Nebraska, kind of like last year. They were 2-1 to start the season. I don't see why they can't at least win 3 games right off the gate. The trend with Northwestern, if you follow that, is that they will be really good at football this season. It's kind of a weird trend they got going on over there with Pat Fitzgerald and that crew. We'll see what happens when that game kicks off. Kick off the season in Dublin. That Indiana, Rutgers, it's not a very tough first half to the season, but these aren't easy games, I would say. Rutgers, Greg Schiano's doing pretty good things there. At Purdue, they are obviously a tough team with that air raid attack. The final 5 games that were very interesting. You look at Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa. Those are all teams that are really going to bring it to them from a physicality standpoint. They're going to have plenty of time to adapt, I think, throughout the season to see if they'll be prepared for those teams. Because if they are soft, these are going to be very tough games for them to win, especially the final 3 against Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Those teams are certainly going to bring it to them. Minnesota, even with P.J. Fleck in that group. So first half of the season's not too difficult. I think Oklahoma and Rutgers are probably their toughest outs. And then the final 5, it's just going to be a tough stretch at the end of the year. I think you should at least see Nebraska get to a bowl game to see Scott Frost keep his job. Should be a very interesting season. It's hard to be optimistic, but this offense, I really like what they have. I think it's a pretty underrated unit. They should be able to eclipse the 30-point-per-game mark this year, you would think. They're really going to have to carry, though, because I think the defense will take a small step back. We'll see what happens. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. See you next time.